Hi guys, we are back again and we are talking about continuing with our presentation on vertebrates. So might I remind you that, let me remind you that the vertebrates come under phylum Chordata. Let's not forget this, okay? And the minute anybody says chordata, that means they're talking about those four characteristics: notochord, nerve cord, gill slits, as well as tail, postanal tail. All right. So vertebrates, of course, are more advanced than chordates. Why? Because they have a vertebral column. So the vertebral column has replaced the notochord. Okay. So continuing with the vertebrates, if you remember, the vertebrates were subdivided into agnatha and gnathostomata. Gnathostomes, on the other hand, was divided into classes. In the last presentation, we came all the way until amphibia. So now the next higher class is reptilian. So if you let's go back, the amphibians, if you remember, needed to live both on land as well as in water. They have to lay their eggs in water. Okay. Reptiles, on the other hand, have conquered land. How have they conquered land? Well, first and foremost, reptilians include alligators, crocodiles, turtles, snakes, lizards, and tuaturas. You know these. That's not a big deal. But how have they conquered land? Well, first and foremost, the body is covered by dry scales, very hard, dry, keratinized scales. This protects them from desiccation, that's drying, as well as from predators. Well, fertilization is internal. They do not have to rely on external water for fertilization. Now, the females lay eggs. The eggs are not the same hard-shelled eggs as in birds, but a very leathery, flexible shelled egg. And the eggs have these membranes, which is called an amnion. And this amnion will keep the developing embryo in a watery, fluid environment. So you see, now the embryo does not need external water as in amphibians to develop. So this amniotic egg made development on land possible and eliminated the need for swimming larval stage. Okay? But again, like the amphibians, they are ectotherms. That means they're cold-blooded. The body temperature matches to the environment. So they are very active when it is a warm environment. They are lethargic when it is cold. All right? We come to the next class. That's the birds, the apes. And notice that birds and apes, your book says that they are reptiles adapted for flight. So here, how are they adapted for flight? Well, of course, they have feathers. Their forelimbs is modified into wings. So you have wings. They have scales, but now they have feathers. And these feathers are going to insulate them and keep them warm. Now, unlike the reptiles, they're endothermic. That means they do not rely on external temperature for the body. Now, their bones are light and hollow, so they have hollow bones. And their beak, the beak replaces that heavy teeth, so they do not have teeth. They instead have a very light structure, have the beak. They have a four-chambered heart. I know this is a little bit of advanced form, but now their heart has four chambers. So the one side which carries deoxygenated blood is totally separated from the other side of the heart which has oxygenated blood or oxygen-rich blood. So this allows for more efficient circulation of blood and therefore, of course, insulation. They have a very rapid efficient digestion, very, very rapid efficient digestion, which minimizes weight of digesting food. And but remember that point I said that they resemble reptiles. Well, in what way do they resemble reptiles? So like reptiles, also they lay eggs, except their eggs are not, they don't have a leathery shell. They have a hard shell. It's not soft and leathery. It's not flexible. But nevertheless, both birds and reptiles, they excrete nitrogenous waste such as uric acid. Okay, so uric acid. And mammals excrete urea. We don't excrete uric acid. Both lay very highly yolked eggs, like I said, and moreover, so this is the resemblance, and here is the egg. Of course, I talked about the eggs. And the other ways by which they resemble the reptiles is the feathers. The feathers are nothing but modified scales. All right? So in this way, the birds resemble the reptiles. All right, so we come to the highest class, and that is the mammals. Highest means they are the most advanced. And of course, they appeared much later during the Triassic period and about the same time as the first dinosaur. What are the chief characteristics of mammals? Well, the body is covered with hair. So this also keeps them warm and insulated. Needless to say, they are endotherms, just like birds. And last but not the least, they have the milk-producing glands. They have the milk glands, which are the mammary glands, and that is how mammals get their names. All right. So in this way, what's the advantage of milk glands? It will enable the female to feed or nurse the young ones without leaving them to find food. Amongst mammals, now mammals are subdivided, okay? So the first form that we see, or the most primitive form that we see, are the monotremes. The monotremes have a structure which is called a cloaca, an opening called the cloaca. And cloaca is a common passage for fecal, urinary, and reproductive. All three open through this opening. So there's one opening for fecal, urinary, and reproductive. And this is, of course, that's why this makes it the lowest vertebrate. They lay also very hard-shelled amniotic eggs. Now, what about the marsupials? So here they still lay eggs. Okay, marsupials are now a little bit more advanced. What's the difference? Here, they begin the development inside the female's body, all right, but are born in a very, very immature state, very immature. Let me put this also out here, eggs in here. So very immature forms, they birth very immature forms. So the newborns actually crawl into the pouch, and they develop further into in the pouch on the mother's abdomen. But the most advanced of the mammals is, of course, the placental mammals. And the reason they are placental, the word placental comes from, they have a special structure which connects the embryo with the mother. And this structure, which is called the placenta, is actually both maternal as well as fetal tissues combined. Okay, so they both combine, and we'll give you the placenta. And this allows for exchange of material, food, waste products, gases between maternal and fetal blood. So this is why when they give birth, they are no longer immature forms, like, for example, we talked about the marsupials. So monotremes, eggs, marsupials birth immature forms, and then finally the placental forms, which will birth a fully formed mature form that can survive on its own. This includes the ungulates, which are the hoofed mammals, the carnivores, which are the dogs and the cats and the bears, primates are the monkeys, cetaceans are the whales and the dolphins, Chiroptera are the bats. Rodents are the mice and rats. Proboscideans are the elephants. Lagomorphans are the rabbits. And insectivores are the shrews and the moles. With this, we come to the end of our presentation on vertebrates. I really hope that it was very clear to you. If not, please stop by my office. Please see me. I thank you for your time and attention.